The stunning U.S. territory of Puerto Rico, at a closer glance, is literally crumbling into the sea in many places because of rising sea levels, bashing and eroding away at this island. And you'll find residents here often discussing the rising sea level. Fabiola Michelle Cortez Cadiz points to ocean waters that have already breached this natural rock barrier meant to protect the local population here in the town of Barceloneta, west of San Juan.
And normally the rocks kind of protect you, as you see, like all the way down there. But now it doesn't, because the water is rising, so the open sea is getting to us. So like, it's a lot more dangerous now.
Dangers, they say, like this partially destroyed bridge nearby, struck by massive waves during Hurricane Maria back in 2017. Tourists once crossed here to a popular hotel. The swimming pool of the hotel is all that remains today from high surf that ripped through here. Puerto Rican officials say thousands of other structures all over the island have been damaged or completely destroyed by rising sea levels in recent years. Like the town of Yabucoa in Puerto Rico, where 1,500 homes once stood, officials say, and were washed away. Many of the town's 35,000 people displaced. And back here in Barceloneta, officials say many of the 22,000 residents here are at risk of losing their homes in the future. And the government estimates 50,000 other coastal structures around Puerto Rico are at risk of falling into the sea in the coming years, impacting several 100,000 residents. Another byproduct of rising sea levels is an increase in drowning deaths, say authorities. This windsurfer is lucky today when he goes down in rough seas. He'll survive, but many others in these waters have not been so lucky. The U.S. territory of Puerto Rico now averaging between 30 to 40 drownings in these rising turbulent ocean waters every year, a quarter of all U.S. coastal drownings. And fishermen here say rising ocean levels have disrupted what they say used to be more tranquil waters, making it more difficult for them to find consistent schools of fish to bring to market. Puerto Rican fishermen brought in 1.75 million pounds of fish in 2017 before Hurricane Maria. Now it's almost half that amount. Fewer fish mean more fishermen are out of work, looking for other jobs and ways to survive. And yet, despite rising sea levels, remains a construction boom of luxury condominiums and hotels being built right next to the water, blocking what little public beaches remain for local residents. That has led to protests from residents like Carlos Ramirez Sanchez, today joining others who are demanding that police here stop owners of this affluent condominium complex from completing a small seawall that would cut everyone else off from using the beach. Beaches that are supposed to remain structure-free under Puerto Rico's maritime laws. Laws that are seemingly ignored by condo owners here who asked us not to film them.
They're above the law here. They do whatever they want to do. There are all kind of people there, professional people, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're judges. There are all kind of stuff here going on. Corruption, greed.
And major hotel chains from the U.S. mainland continue to build new hotels here and making huge profits at a time when coastal property is shrinking due to rising sea levels and unprecedented coastal erosion, says Ruperto Chaparro, director of the University of Puerto Rico's Sea Grant Conservation Program. Chaparro saying hotel corporations are investing very little toward protecting the few beaches left for citizens here, during a building boom here that he refers to as the Miamiization of Puerto Rico.
What we have are hotels that are not owned by Puerto Ricans. So when you stay at a hotel in Puerto Rico, the money goes back to a bank in the States, so it is not reinvested here, and creating a big problem with coastal erosion.
He says rising sea levels have claimed countless beaches since he was a kid.
When I was a young kid, we could go to the beach and there were 100 meters or 50 meters of sand. And now we don't have 10 meters. Many times the water is hitting the condos.
And he says no matter how obvious the signs of climate change are, such as more frequent and powerful hurricanes like Category 5 Maria and Hurricane Irma and others, and no matter the $30 billion from FEMA that's helped rebuild Puerto Rico, the government here, he says, keeps approving permits for hotels and condos to be built on the vulnerable coastline here, often in the same locations they were wiped out in before.
For them, climate change is like science fiction. They don't think it's going to happen, anything is going to happen here. And even though we have many examples, like during Maria, they keep giving permits to develop at the same places. So I don't think they will learn about that, or they don't want to learn.
Delivering a sobering wake-up call these days about Puerto Rico's rising sea levels is noted oceanographer and native son Aurelio Mercado. In his mid-70s now, he has produced the most comprehensive studies and proof during his 40 years of monitoring the sea that the island's coastal landscape and structures have been disappearing at an alarming rate.
You ask the people who have lived on the coastline for years, and they will tell you, oh, the shoreline used to be 100 meters or 200 meters offshore.
Here is Mercado in a photo 20 years ago looking at what used to be a beach that was washed away. Today he's returned to the same exact spot to find rocks dumped here to stop erosion. But he says that won't bring back the beach.
And once you put the rocks, the beach disappears, completely disappears.
Mercado is the oceanographer who years ago convinced Puerto Rico to place the tsunami evacuation route signs all over the island, but says he remains shocked that many people here and around the world, he says, still don't seem to be alarmed by climate change and rising sea levels.
They say that's fake news, you know, that's not going to happen, but it's happening. Well, in Puerto Rico, as almost anywhere else in the planet, sea level is rising. You can see that in the coastal erosion that we have almost everywhere around the island, where there used to be houses, and you can go there and see the destructed houses, the ruins.
Rising sea levels, he says, are a direct result of global warming and hotter temperatures that are heating and expanding ocean waters around the world and melting Antarctica.
Antarctic, there is a so-called doomsday glacier.
He says Antarctica, the world's biggest block of ice, is melting so fast that the water has to go somewhere, raising sea levels around the world. He compares the melting of glaciers to when people sit in a bathtub full of water.
You're in a bathtub, yes. You sit in, you displace a certain volume of water, and that will raise sea water, yes. And it's something that is happening 24/7, you know, year-round.
Mercado says rising tides around the world are flooding cities not just above ground, but underground, that could impact infrastructure such as storm pipes, drinking water, and sanitation, along with underground communication infrastructure.
Telephone lines, internet lines, pipelines. You cannot stop the penetration of the ocean. That's something that there is no way, okay? Water will come in anywhere it has access.
That sounds pretty depressing.
Well, that's what I'm saying, for instance, for Miami.
He says Miami and other major coastal cities in the U.S. will be underwater in the next 30 to 60 years. Not a lot of time, he says, in the context of the 200,000 years humans have inhabited the planet. To him, it seems like just a few years away.
Miami is going to be underwater in a few years. And even Boston and part of Washington, D.C., Norfolk, Virginia, where the Navy has the big docks.
Anything positive to report?
I think if we're talking about sea level and nature and hurricanes, I don't think that. I cannot give any positive results, because it's something that is happening and it's gonna get worse.
Mercado says he began warning Puerto Rico's government about rising sea levels 30 years ago, warning the government to stop allowing buildings to be built next to the water.
Move back.
But buildings are still going up.
They are still doing that, okay?
Because?
Well, it's greed, it's nice to live near the water.
And U.S. taxpayers, he says, are now burdened with funding roughly $13 billion each year in federal disaster relief funds to rebuild thousands of coastal properties wiped out by increasing numbers of hurricanes and rising sea levels from global warming. And astonishingly, he says, record numbers of people here in Puerto Rico and in the United States are moving to coastal areas being swallowed up by the sea when they should be moving away, he says. Government leaders, he says, not doing enough to stop them from building. Many people here are aware of Mercado's warnings. Residents like Fabiola Michelle Cortez Cadiz.
And it's like science is telling you, like someone that studies this is telling you. It's not just coming out of nowhere. It's literally people that take time to do this are telling you, hey, our planet is dying slowly but surely. And it's like, we still don't listen. We're still like, nah, that can't happen.
Until the water is literally up to the neck of the people who have the power. Nothing will be done, So it doesn't look good.